Welcome back, Pigskin Podcast. I'm Ben Pherson. This is Jason Feldman. Feldy, we got to talk about some ugly stuff, and then we'll get to the high school stuff where we actually have some good athletes that are playing football. I should mention my Tyrod Taylor jersey.
Yeah, what is going on there? I don't even know who you are anymore.
Tyrod Taylor? If you look back at face-off,
it's like the epitome of bandwagon.
Do you know what year what round this guy was drafted in?
I don't know anything about Tyrod Taylor.
6th round draft pick by the Ravens. And do you know what other quarterback was selected year in 2011 in the first round?
I do know he had to beat out Matt Castle and E.J. Manuel to win the job. So.
I'm just saying, in 2011, the Vikings wasted a draft pick on a quarterback in the first round of the draft, and they could have had this guy in the 6th round of the draft, I wrote in face-off.
I actually remember that draft pick because I think both of our heads exploded as we were watching the draft.
And it turned out exactly how the Vikings wanted, not us. Oh, wait.
But now we have Teddy Bridgewater, so we're just fine.
Yeah. How'd that go on Monday?
Is that good San Francisco defense with all those return?
No.
Yeah, that was. Let's talk as little about the Vikings as possible.
Well, because you and I talked about it in face-off in today, so you got to buy the paper too. But we talk about the Vikings a little bit in the face-off column, and while I'm not going to give up on the season, I think it's fine to completely panic on this team because if you can't beat that team, I don't know who they beat. I mean, who do they beat moving forward here?
Well, and like I wrote...
Nobody if they play like that.
No, and like I wrote today, you expected some bumps in the road with the offensive line and all the pieces they're filling in there, some of the new other players on offense. You could even see it with Adrian Peterson coming back after such a long layoff. But the disappointing thing to me was the way the defense played, in particular the front seven and the front four, really. I mean, I wrote it on Twitter, and we talked about it here at the office amongst us. But if you look at that second touchdown that Carlos Hyde scored, every single one of the Vikings' front four was singled up, and they all got beaten. In fact, Anthony Barr tripped up Everson Griffin on the backside. But they all got beat one-on-one, and that's just disheartening for a group that's supposed to be the strength of that defense.
Well, I think the other concern, too, while some people will be critical of the offensive line, I thought their pass blocking was fine. There were a lot of times that Bridgewater dropped back and had all the time he needed to. Doesn't mean he made the throws. He still missed the throws, it seemed like.
He was throwing off his back foot a lot, at least early on in the game. Just didn't look comfortable.
Why? I don't even know why. I don't think he needed to be uncomfortable. He wasn't that pressure. The issue to me more so was the fact that Adrian Peterson looked lost. And I don't even mean when he had the football. When he had the football, he was fine. It was where to line up, like things that you would assume are day one type activities, and that guy cannot block. I mean, he and I think it's more a mental issue than a physical issue of where he needs to be and when he needs to be there. But goodness, did he? That was the times I felt like those times are when Teddy Bridgewater was pressured. If a linebacker blitzed and AP was supposed to pick him out, it just didn't happen.
Well, and there was a reason, the Twitterverse was kind of freaking out there late in the first half when Matt Asiata was put in for a series. But that was a situation where they had to go to the 2-minute offense. You can't have Adrian Peterson in the game at that point. And it's always been a liability with him as far as being a pass blocker. And you just have to know that and take the good with the bad with him. And there's a little bit of bad. There's not a lot, but that is definitely the glaring weakness in his game.
Well, it's going to hurt him in the long run, too, because that means he's not on the field for one down a series. That's a problem, for fantasy owners.
Yeah.
That's a down. He's not going to be out there. That's going to hurt his total.
Quite frankly, too, when he had the ball in his hands, there wasn't a lot of patience. I mean, he was running right into the back of his offensive lineman. That's not going to get you
anywhere. That's another reason why we've said it.
Tired?
Why not get? I know, tired. Listening to you, I do get a little.
I can understand that.
A little yawner, but for me, with him, why not put him into some preseason games?
Right.
Give him a couple of carries. I know it's Adrian Peterson. I know physically he's fine, but flow of the game is an issue. Figuring out, like you said, the patience issue maybe is a little thing that he can work out, even if it's just 10 total carries over the preseason. Let's get some live action.
It's like people talked about when Jordy Nelson got hurt for Green Bay. Everybody was freaking out. He shouldn't be playing in the preseason games.
Well, he didn't get touched.
If injuries are going to happen, they're going to happen. But when you don't play in the preseason, you have what we saw on Monday night with Adrian Peterson. He's just not back into the flow of the game yet. And you know what? With him, that could change in the snap of fingers this weekend against Detroit. We just don't know. You never know with him playing on home. I'm guessing Mike Zimmer and the coaching staff probably aren't going to be very nice to the players this week, and hopefully they come out with a little more passion and intensity because they looked like they believed all the hype on Monday night.
So say we should move on quick, but
Please.
One thing I'm wondering is what the reception will be for Adrian Peterson when he's on that field. I would guess it's going to be awfully mixed in that crowd at TCF
so?
Bank Stadium. There's going to be a lot of people who don't want to see him play.
I was at the very first preseason game, and the number of 28 jerseys there just astounded me.
Really?
And I'm not just talking about the beer-drinking adults who have been tailgating for 6 hours. I'm talking about dads with their kids, which is maybe the most shocking thing to me. We can be happy that he helps our team with whatever he does as Vikings fans, but, man, yeah, the 28 jerseys in my daughter's closets went away.
What?
Yeah.
You took those
Mine
away
hasn't
from me?
yet.
Oh, nice.
Probably won't wear it anymore. I'll bring it in. You can wear it next week. Get rid of that thing.
All right, let's move on and talk about another bad quarterback. That means we're not talking about Tyrod Taylor. So we're going to move on to the Gophers and talk about Mr. Leidner, who had another, certainly an awful half. His first half was bad. Again, he missing throws that you can't miss at that level of football. I'd be upset with a high school quarterback if he's missing the throws that Mitch was missing in the first half of that game. And they were behind for most of that game, so I can't even say let another team in the game when they were losing. They did get the job done, got the win, and really in college football, that's the most important.
And on the road, too. And on the road.
And
not
it's
an
not
easy
that bad a
place to
team.
play.
They were missing some key plays. Hollywood Higgins being out is huge. But again, Mitch was certainly better in the second half. He did miss enough. Mr. Ruff was praising Leidner for his second half.
I have a hard time believing that Pat Ruff
that he'll do that.
come across as a homer at all.
A little flowery, whatever. But he
went into his book of adjectives.
He did that. But he still missed. There was one crucial throw he missed in the second half, and it was an easy throw. You can't miss a guy out in the flat. Yeah. It just can't happen, and it's happening constantly.
It seems like we talk about this every week with him, but the throws that he's missing. Again, I watched him make those throws in high school. He could do it. It's in there somewhere, but I don't understand how when there's coaches going over and over this and watching his reps and watching him on film and watching him live, there has to be something there they can figure out, right? I mean, I only watched him play once in high school, but, man, some of those throws he made, you can see why the Gophers were going hard after him and recruiting him. But it's not there, and it's something, whether it's his confidence is shaken or he's just the speed of the game is too fast, I don't know.
It doesn't even seem like it's that. I don't know what it is.
I will say he saved his best throw of the day for the right time.
Yeah.
That late fourth quarter throw.
He really kind of did that. The TCU game, he made a couple of throws later in that game that were good throws. You're like, where has that been?
Yeah, the late touchdown drive against TCU. He did that too.
He's done some things like that. So we know it's there. Maybe that's why it's frustrating.
Maybe he just needs to not think. Just send them out in those 2-minute drills all the time.
He'll have a chance this week. They're back home. Kent State should be a easy win. I think they're 24-point favorites. I would love to see the kid in there. I think Croft is that the kid's name. I would love to see him in. I don't know how much Mr. Kill's going to put him in because if he goes in there and dominates,
that's the
if it's a blowout
there.
game, if it's 35-0 and they put him in the third quarter and the kid looks amazing. Mr. Kill's going to have an issue on his hand because everybody's going to be calling for it.
Maybe that's what's needed up there.
I would love to see it, but Coach Kill doesn't go that way.
Can this team go into the Big Ten? They will, I know, but can they go into the Big Ten schedule with Leidner at quarterback? I mean, if he keeps playing like this, he's got a couple more chances before they get into that Big Ten, the heart of the Big Ten schedule. But, man, they have to see some improvement or something different out of him, don't they? I mean, before they get into that.
I would hope so, but I think Kill has made the proclamation, but this is the guy we have, and that's what we're going to roll with.
On the positive side, I like the way the defense played.
The defense
I
is
only
not
saw the
praised
second half
enough
game,
when you start thinking about the fact these first two games, think about all the 3-0s the offense has given them. So they just keep having to be back in the field over and over and over and against offenses that can score points, and they're holding these good offenses to minimal points despite the number of possessions they're getting.
It's cliche, but you have to be mentally tough as a defensive player to keep going out there and trying to hold back the other team when you know your offense is probably going to come out and go 3-0.
Yeah, well, that's the way it's been. As a fan, you have to be pretty, powerful.
Minnesota football fans have learned over the years how to be mentally strong, if nothing else.
Right, but I expect the Gophers. I can't even say back on track because they did win last week, but I expect to see good things this week.
They have to come out and win by a bunch.
Well, and Rodney Smith is another guy we should talk about. Another, that kid is looking awesome. Yeah. He just does everything so well. He's got, I wrote it in that column after the first game. He's got everything I want in running back. He's got decent patience. He's a one cut and go kind of guy, and he's pretty fast too.
Right.
We saw him show off a little bit of that speed. I think he doesn't need a lot to be successful, and he's a guy that doesn't have a lot of negative plays. Even when he's getting hit in the backfield, he finds a way to get back to that line of scrimmage. Worst case scenario.
Yeah, and let's face it, when the Gophers have been good in recent years, they've lived with that running game. That's been their bread and butter on offense, and they need to probably get back to that if they want to have a chance to get back to that New Year's Day Bowl or beyond this year.
All right, so we weren't going to talk about these bad teams for so long. We ended up talking about them for a long time, but let's move on to the high school stuff. Should we do our players of the week first?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's not talk about how we did in picks last week.
I think we should. I mean, we'll definitely focus on how we did in picks last week. I know some of us had a good week.
I should be the one having to wear that jersey for the way I picked. Some of us didn't have a good week. I don't. We'll focus on that in a minute. But who's your player of the week this week, Feldy? I'm going just a little ways west here to Byron. This is I think it's a better football team than even their 2-2 record shows. They've played a good schedule so far. Had a nice win last week. Go out to Cannon Falls. We'll get to that one when we do our picks, but that's a really good matchup this week. But they had a nice win last week against a Lake City team that I think you and I thought was a pretty good football team, and Byron blew them away. But anyways, I'm going with their junior running back, Caden Blazing. Gotta love that name, don't you? I mean, he should be the player of the week just for that name. He's listed on the roster as a wide receiver, but I see he was written up in the paper last week as a running back. He threw some passes too, so maybe we should just call him an athlete.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It's one of those.
I thought he was a quarterback.
It's one of those Marquis.
Just know he's got stats everywhere.
One of those Marquis Gray type guys. Just an athlete, right?
I guess.
But anyways,
where does Marquis Gray play?
I have no idea. Yeah, catching passes from maybe he should play quarterback.
Well, maybe a little wildcat.
Anyways, Caden was 2 for 2 for 74 yards passing, both touchdowns. I think we call that efficient.
We can use
definition of efficient.
We can use him in Minnesota.
Can he go play for the Vikings or the Gophers?
The Gophers for sure.
The completion percentage is nice, and he ran for 114 yards and 2 scores too. So that's almost 200 yards of total offense, 4 touchdowns. That's a good week for Caden Blazing. He's my player of the week.
The slightly less important player of the week, the Feldy player of the week.
No.
But
I went first. That's the important guy.
I know.
I'm the taller of the two of us.
Yeah. You're on those stilts down there, and just so you know, he's not wearing pants. It's ridiculous. I can't believe he came.
It's
in
comfortable.
Here. I'm sure it is, but it's rude to me and Andrew, our camera guy.
Oh, he keeps it so hot in here.
Anyway, there were a lot of good performances last week. A couple of great performances from Stewartville kids against Cass and Quant, threw for over 200.
We could probably say that just about every week, right? We'd go to Stewartville to pick our player of the week.
Quant threw 4 more touchdowns. Jordan Johnson, that kid on both sides of the ball is just a dominant athlete. Ran for 125 and a touchdown, 19 tackles last week. Similar stat line to Jordan Johnson is a kid from Blooming Prairie, Anthony Nelson. He ran for 100, had a touchdown, caught an 81-yard touchdown, and had 19 tackles on defense.
Wow.
So
it's a good night's work.
It is. We had some great individual performances. So even though those are 3 amazing performances, I got to go with the top dog, Chase Raymond. That kid is tearing it up, and I said that at the beginning of the year. I thought he was probably the best running back in the area out of all.
Sure, looks like it.
These great kids that we have, obviously Mason Karstens will have something to say about that, but Chase Raymond is truly elite. And last week ran for an incredible 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, and against La Crescent. Now I know La Crescent throws the ball a lot, but they've been a good team.
They've been a much better team this year than I think we thought they were going to be.
And that win. Blowing out a La Crescent team like
especially coming off a loss to Cass and Vanderbilt.
A blowout loss to Cass. Then they blow out La Crescent, a team that beat Casson, by the way.
Right.
Now, obviously, Casson has some things going on at quarterback, and Brady Berge dinged up last week, and it sounds like they've got some other options now at quarterback. And we'll see what happens this week. I'll be interested to see who's on the field this week for them. But, Chase Raymond, athlete of the week. Like I said, he's one of those guys that we could pick every week. But anyway, let's move on to we got to move on to our picks already, Feldy. How did you do last week in the picks?
I got some right.
You did?
I got some right. I got some wrong. So let's just move on to the first game.
Well, what's the standings now? Who's
know.
leading the?
I'm not good at math. I can't do these things. We'll tally them all up at the end of the year and see where we stand.
Pretty sure. Was I perfect or did I get one wrong?
I don't know.
Well,
I think you had 1 wrong and I had 3.
All right, so I'm
back up on me by a game.
6-1, and now I'm back in the lead.
Yeah.
Now I beat him down. I'm going to let it back in this week. We'll get him back on track this week. So, Feldy, first game I have on the docket here is a a game that is near and dear to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Rochester Mayo 4-0 going on the road, taking on Mankato West, top-ranked West.
Yeah.
They're also 4-0. It's a tough uphill battle, I'm sure, for your Mayo club. What do you think? I think they're ranked, 8th in the state, and obviously West is ranked number 1.
They're ranked 8th, and to their credit, they've beaten the teams that have been put in front of them on the schedule. You can only play who's on your schedule, right? But this is just a bizarre stat to me. Maybe this has happened before.
I doubt it.
But Mayo has 4 wins against 4 teams that are combined 0-16. How crazy is that? None of those teams have won a game yet this year. And it's talking about Austin, Century, Faribault, and New Prague last week. And I think over the course of those first 3 games, we didn't see Mayo take great steps forward. Last week they did. They blew out a team, New Prague, 42-6. They should probably do that against. This week, obviously, that competition level doesn't take one step up. Like Coach Donnie Holcomb said, it takes 3, 4, 5 steps up. When you go over to play the defending state champ, the number 1 ranked, undefeated team in the state, West hasn't allowed more than 18 points in a game, and I think a bunch of those were last week, maybe in the 4th quarter to Austin. So it's an uphill battle for Mayo, and this is a game where they're going to find out a lot about themselves, what they're made of, kind of what their identity should be. They hit a tough stretch here with Owatonna and JM coming over the next 2 weeks, but you can't pick against the defending state champ. I'm going to take West 38.
I could.
You can, but until I see somebody prove that they can beat West, I think Mayo, if they play their best, they can go over there and give them a really good game. But West has so much on that offensive side of the ball. They're big, they're talented. I'll take West 38-28.
I'll go West 40-27. I think the big key for Mayo in this game is they can't play from behind. They have one of the best running backs, in the area for sure.
And West knows that too.
And West knows that, if they can get him going and not be behind by more than 2 scores and be forced to throw the football,
Right.
I think they'll be all right. I think they'll hang in that game. I think it'll be a decent game. I think they're going to have a hard time getting over that.
Yeah, and West presents as big a challenge up front as Mayo's seen all year. West has a freshman who's 270 pounds and a sophomore who's 290.
Classic West.
Classic West. And a sophomore quarterback, by the way, who, from what I understand, is about as good as the other guys who've come through there over the last decade. So.
He's no Dan Dobson, I guarantee you. But we got to move on quick here. We're
Next
running
game.
long. But
Yep.
Byron at Cannon Falls. Byron's 2-2 at Cannon Falls. They're 1-3. I'm going with a little upset here, Feldy. I know you're all hot for this Byron team right now, but I'm going with Cannon Falls at home. Cannon Falls was missing their quarterback last week against Lourdes, and they're just not bad. They're big and physical up front, and I think this is going to be a real dogfight between these two teams. Like I said, I'm going with a slight upset. I'm going to go with Cannon Falls, 21-14 over Byron.
I'm not even sure we can call that an upset when you look at who Cannon Falls has played this year. Yeah, they're 1-3, but their losses are to Plainville, Elgin-Millville, Stewartville, and Lourdes. The last 3 weeks. That's about as tough a stretch as you're going to find at that level, right? And Byron coming off a big win, but they have to go on the road. I'm with you, Ben. I got to take Cannon Falls at home, and what I think.
Really?
Yep.
I would have gone the other way if I knew you were going to do
It's going to be a close game, about 24-21.
I don't know if we're going to be different, but we got to keep her moving here.
Yep.
Pine Island at St. Charles. Pine Island 1-3. St. Charles 0-4. Feldy, who you got?
I'm going to go with the road team on this one. I haven't picked a road team yet. I think St. Charles, again, has played a difficult schedule. Lourdes, Caledonia, among the teams they've faced. Pine Island lost to Chatfield last week, fairly big, but I think the Panthers bounce back, get their second win this week. I'm going to take Pine Island about 21-19. I think it'll be a close one.
I think Pine Island is better than their record, and St. Charles is struggling mightily with their quarterback situation. They've had some injuries down there. So I'm going Pine Island 37, St. Charles 14.
All right, let's move it on. This is a game, one of the teams you saw early in the year that you're high on. Triton 3-1 at Chatfield 3-1.
My pick first?
Go ahead.
Triton big. I think Triton bounces back after their loss. I think Triton 37. I got a lot of 37. 37, Chatfield 21.
I'm with you on Triton. You've said it over and over again this year. They're young, they're talented, they're physical. They've got all the makings of a really good football team. I'm going to take Byron. I think it's going to be lower scoring this week. I'll go about 28-20.
All right. Hayfield at Wabasha-Kellogg. 1-3 for both of these squads. Someone's getting a win on Friday night. Feldy, is it my pick or your?
Me, I think.
You go ahead.
Hayfield's offense has struggled to score, but look at the schedule they face. Though their 3 losses are to Mankato, Loyola, Lewiston, Altura, and Rushford Peterson. pretty good stretch. Wabasha-Kellogg, though, they're at home. They're coming off a win last week and be feeling good. I think I'm going to go with the Falcons to hold serve at home. I'll take Wabasha-Kellogg 35-28.
It's Vikings football, baby.
Vikings football.
Hayfield. I'm going Hayfield.
You just can't pick against the Vikings.
I'm going Hayfield. 14-13.
Just can't pick against the Vikings.
Correct.
And why did you do this to me?
2 9-man games coming up. Houston at Mabel-Canton. Both teams are 3-1. Wow, this is a tough game to pick. This was my hardest game to pick when I sat down and looked at these games. I'm guessing Feldy is going to go with whoever I don't pick. So I'm going to go Mabel-Canton. I am going to say 29-9.
Yeah, I think Mabel-Canton actually going to be kind of ticked off coming off that loss last week. They started off so well in the first 3 games of the year, and then kind of got shut down last week, it looked like, offensively against Randolph. Though we're finding out, I think Randolph is a pretty good football team, too, obviously, if they can.
We're getting to them next.
Yeah, we'll talk about them again, won't we? But they beat Mabel-Canton by 3 scores. I'm tempted to pick Mabel, but you're right. I'm going the opposite of you on this one. I'm taking Houston on the road. I think actually they'll keep it low scoring. Something about low scoring for a 9-man game. Let's go 27-24.
Good deal. Last game, Randolph at Spring Grove. I'm guessing we'll both go Spring Grove. This isn't that bad a game, but I'm going to go Spring Grove 40-20.
I think it will be the closest game that we've seen Spring Grove play this year, but that said, that's such a good football team. Yeah, I can't go against them, and I think they win big too. I think it'll be about, we'll go 38-21.
All right, Feldy, we got to wrap it up.
Yep,
we're over our allotted time frame for this show, but let us know if you like the show. Tweet at us, email us, whatever you got to do. We're still looking for sponsors. We're still trying to decide if you guys like the video format thing.
We'll do something next week.
I know we're
Whether
not
attractive
people, but we need more hits on these videos. Otherwise, I think we're going back to the podcast. So let us know if you like the video or the podcast better, and we don't care. We'll do one or the other.
We'll be here one way or the other.
Thank you to Andrew Link for hooking us up with the video.
Making us look good.
And we'll either
got you to cut your hair.
Yeah, I know. It did get me to cut my hair. We'll see or we'll talk to you next week. Thanks.